My name is Mandia, and I'm going to be reciting a poem that you guys have heard before. Apparently I've heard no one's bothered by hearing it again, so that's good news. Okay, so here we go. It's called I Am Not Pretty. My beauty is not and was never ever in the eyes of the beholder. You behold your own self, your soul. You are yours and yours alone. I have adjectives drowning me. I am up to my ears in them, my dear. Drown me in words I've heard since days of old. Being told that you are pretty is a 2-ton burden, and it drowns your brain, and your hope is buoyed by MAC and NYC. By the time they are done shoving pretty down your throat, believe the hype they scream, smart isn't pretty. I'm sorry for anyone who only feels pretty today, because I know that I'm not pretty, and neither are you. Don't get upset, let me explain. Let me paint you the picture. You are not pretty because who has time to be pretty when you are so many other things? Too much of my bodaciously bold intellect demands to be appreciated to leave room for pretty. Is that what you noticed about me? That I'm pretty? No, I'm not pretty. I'm smart. I'm not pretty, I'm successful. I am not pretty, I am amazingly resourceful. I am not pretty, I am outspoken. I am not pretty, I am powerful. I'm not pretty, I am your worst nightmare. You should be scared of me and all that I can do. I am not just pretty, I am a person. You wouldn't define him by handsome, he's a person. I would ask why, but I know the answer would be intricately spun BS, so I'm used to that. I won't ask again, but I will not excuse this. Get used to this, no, not again. I cannot tolerate you calling me pretty. I write because it helps me see who I am, outside of what people see when they look at me. She's pretty. And when I look at myself, damn girl. I spin words in a way that no designer ever could to drape my temple of a body. Within, I hold a soul. I hold a soul within me that spills out upon the page, purging the oppression that you think is being stuck inside this form. Dear God, deformity valued. Power personified. Liquid ink is defining my existence because it's the only thing that I can come close to use in your society. Because what you see is not all that I am. What I see is not all that you are. So pretty. Perception is a God-forsaken choice, so I am demanding of you to accept responsibility. I'm not pretty. Virginia Woolf was not pretty. She guided souls through words, sentences with souls. Susan B. Anthony was not pretty. She was a catalyst of minds, a changer of the times. Hillary Clinton is not pretty, but she is everything that you cannot ignore. You are not pretty. I am not pretty. We're not pretty. We are astounding forces of nature that cannot and will not be ignored. I'm not pretty, sir. I'm here, alive, breathing, speaking, doing, creating, birthing, being, saying, living, and I am enough. Do not ignore me. I am not pretty. I am worthy of praise, veneration of a pure soul and intention. Priceless in my own eyes. I am enough. I am not pretty. I see myself, and that is all that matters, because you see myself. And I see who I really am. I'm not pretty. Glancing at my facade will not suffice. I am so much more than you could ever see, for you are blind, because I've only begun to scratch the surface of my own self. So do not tell me who I am. I am not pretty. I'm cocky, and rightfully so, because have you spoken to me lately? Do you know how much my mind, my soul, my spirit, my intellect have grown? You haven't, you don't, you haven't spoken, asked, dug, you don't care, admit it. You feel that looking at me is enough. Let me show you my universe, the one that you tried to define. When we were bouncing baby girls, that word is what we were subversively convinced would pull us up through this world. It was never made clear that pulling ourselves up by our own fabulous bootstraps was a viable option, and it was hard for me, despite the fact that I wasn't fighting the pretty all on my own. The anti-pretty movement has begun. It won't be pretty, the streets will be dire. And they will scream, and they will scream, and they will not be able to ignore us anymore, so pass it on. I want to pass it on, you pass it on. Pass it on when you look at your bouncing baby girl. Stare at your creation and then tell her. Tell her about the spirit in her eyes, Nurture her already gigantic soul. Tell her about hands that will see and create wonders, not just paint nails. Picturesque planes with a face that will convey emotions felt for 1,000 years, not serve as a stupid canvas. Toes that will sink into the sand of the shores of the earth, not some manicurist's charge. Skin that will soak up the rays of a thousand suns, not always be porcelain, but precious enough. No, I said she is endless. She is not pretty. You are boundless. Do not be bound by a word as disgustingly empty as pretty. A pretty waste of space, a pretty implication of singular existence. No, you are too endlessly fathomless for pretty. When they try to be pretty into you, tell them, I know, but I will give you 1,000 other reasons to remember the name.